I will put this conversation on YouTube.
All
Maybe
right,
you can
all
check
right,
it and
all right,
listen,
all right.
and you
I'm
can
going.
see that
All
you
right,
didn't answer the question.
all right. Please enlighten me.
It's simple. Just because someone wants to talk about something, that doesn't mean they're well versed about those things.
Right now, I don't care if you get it or not, because for me, you don't seem that you have the slightest idea about what you are talking about.
Okay, which topic you found fascinating?
Philosophy, of course.
Oh, I thought one of those subtopics. Okay.
Yeah, and I see that you are interested in the philosophy of religion in particular.
Okay.
Yeah, because you have written God, atheism, agnosticism, morality, afterlife, absolute reality. These are really big topics, and many great philosophers have written about these subjects, but they can't find the absolute answer to those, yeah, mystical questions.
Okay. What about you? Maybe you
Yeah.
had found some answers.
No, all right, you're absolutely trying to be ironic here. Of course, I don't have an answers to those universal questions. Those questions have occupied human beings since their first moments of this world. And these questions are, in fact, mentioned in the oldest piece of literature, the Epic of Gilgamesh. And the Sumerians, by the way, are the first people, the first civilized people. They strive to seek justifications to those answers, but they couldn't. And that happened 4,000 years ago. And you want me right now, after 4,000 years ago, to find an answer to those questions.
Why not?
That's absolutely absurd.
We didn't know many things in the past, but now we know a lot of things.
No, those things are mysterious. We can't find the absolute truth to those questions. And those questions are always are going to be, are going to be debatable.
Yeah, they're debatable.
Yeah.
And
And but but the one the but the one who's got the best well written narrative who's going to prevail in the end.
yeah, since we both don't have the good answers for these big questions, is there any suggestion?
There are so many literary great works have dedicated to those topics. One of which that really caught my attention is the Epic of Gilgamesh. Have you read it?
No, I don't like reading.
All right. And how can you be a philosopher if you don't read?
I will try and see.
It's absurd to see that somebody who claims to be a philosopher, claims to be a thinker, and doesn't read.
I'm not claiming to be a philosopher.
No, you claim to be a philosopher because that is your title, philosopher,
Yeah, it's not
and
philosopher.
and philosophy table. So
Oh,
I presume that you are well versed about the things that you are going to discuss because you have already written them on your table. So I presume that you are well versed about these things.
yeah, your conclusion could be wrong, right?
All right, please enlighten me.
It's simple. Just because someone wants to talk about something, that doesn't mean they're well versed about those things.
All right, they must be, in fact, they must be well versed about them.
Why?
Otherwise, they shouldn't put themselves in those pickles. All right.
What if the purpose is learning?
The purpose, all right. You're not there to learn. In fact, you are there to discuss. And to be able to discuss, you must be well read and well aware of the things that you are going to say, because that can lead to misunderstanding. especially with the people who are, at the, still at the beginning of grasping those complicated ideas.
I don't think any of those topics are complicated.
They are, in fact, they are complicated.
I don't think they are.
Yeah. And no, they are complicated because even religious preachers and even teachers of philosophy, quite often they can't provide a reasonable answer to those questions.
And
and they fail and they lose face.
Okay, maybe that's that much simple that the questions are unfalsifiable. That's why they don't have answers.
No, they don't have their own answers. They read things by heart and they repeat the same piece of argument that was inherited thousands of years ago.
Well, that doesn't make it complicated.
No, it makes it complicated because their argument doesn't include any charge of critical thinking. It just inherited, it just based on narrative. There is no proof that can solidify that piece of argument.
Okay, so you can see that there's no good argument and evidence, right?
Yeah, of course.
Mm-hmm. And to you, it's so complicated to do?
Unless a person read plenty of books about the subject and read also plenty of articles and being a good listener, then they can start to understand the topic.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in your argument, I cannot understand this topic because I didn't read.
Definitely.
Okay. And how can you check that? What if you're wrong?
How can I be wrong? Because I asked you a simple question.
Which was?
How often do you read? And you told me that you don't like to read books.
No,
which is an absurd.
That's not the test.
Because no.
I think you misunderstood my question. My question is, how can you check that I don't understand these topics?
All right, because these topics based on reading.
Based on reading?
Yeah, based on reading.
Okay.
They are not practical topics like mathematics or like any other practical topic that based on practice. Those topics are based on reading and theories. There's no tangible proofs. There's only ideas, abstract ideas that are only existed on books.
And books can be read by many people and they can be understood by many people, and those people can speak about those topics, right?
Exactly.
Okay,
each reader...
Yeah, if a person listens carefully what those people are telling, he cannot learn what are those things?
Not literally learn, but just can, earn some clues.
Clues
about that topic. Yeah, clues about that topic. Because a reader can be different from another reader. Each one reads things differently based on their level of awareness.
Okay. And according to what you said, so reading is not enough to understand things also. Some people may not understand even if they're reading. Okay, what if a person understands really good and he can express what he learned very simply, and then the other people can also understand what this guy is saying about those topics. But you're saying that no, he's not learning, it's just getting some clues.
Exactly. They are just getting some clues because listening is not enough. And also reading is not enough.
Okay, how do you test someone whether the person knows about these topics or not? Without knowing the person is well read or not?
That can be quite simple, is through interaction.
Okay.
And discussion, of course.
Okay. So you want to give it a try?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, choose the topic and we can try.
Through discussion and interaction, that can shows if that person is well versed about the things that they are saying or not, or they are just quoting others' arguments.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think it's hard to test.
Come again, please.
I don't think it's something that's hard to test.
Exactly.
Okay. Do you mind trying?
Try what?
Testing.
Test whom?
Me, for example?
Maybe I'll find it inappropriate to test you about something that you may not be familiar with.
You want to test me with something that I'm not familiar with?
I don't know if you are familiar with it or not, because a minute ago I asked you about a very famous book, The Epic of Gilgamesh, and you told me that you don't know it. So I don't want to get deeper in these things.
You're just mentioning about a book. And I think all those topics here that I typed can be spoken without knowing that book.
All right. But that book is one of the famous things. I recommend you to read it, even though if you haven't read it, I recommend you to do so, because that book backs to 4,000-year-old. All right. It's one of the oldest books that has ever written.
Is it proving a God exists?
Come again, please.
The book is proving that a God exists?
It's not proving that God exists. It has to do with deities, with the state of multiple gods and goddesses, all right, during Mesopotamian era.
Yeah, but
all right, and
is it proving that those gods are real?
It's not proving that book or the protagonist of the book challenging the existence of gods, all right, by trying to seek immortality. He is obsessed about securing immortality. He wants to guarantee that he can live forever. And the protagonist of the book meets the person who survives the flood, Noah.
Okay, so it's not proving any god, or it's not disproving gods, technically.
No. They disprove the existence of gods, because Mesopotamians try by way or another to fill that sense of emptiness by creating gods, all right, and giving them names and traits that can fill that state of emptiness.
But that doesn't disprove any god.
No, it disproved them.
No, it doesn't.
It disproved them, mate.
It's not.
Because according to Gilgamesh, when you demolish, when you break the sculptures that represent a certain god, then you killed it. And when you stop worshipping that god, then you kill it. By stopping worshipping that god, you kill it. God exists when you worship it. When you think of it, when you stop thinking of it, it stops existing.
That's a false claim.
All right. It can be. Why?
Why? Because just because you believe in something or you don't believe in something, it doesn't say anything about its existence.
No, it says about its existence, because people who make it exist by giving it some traits, some characteristics that they wish to have, so that they can make it superior over them.
Okay, so
I would like to ask you a question.
You're saying that they believe in some gods?
No, they were multiple gods, deities, the state of having multiple gods. Yeah, the god of air, the god of sun, the god of water, the goddess of love. Yeah.
They believed in gods.
In gods and goddesses.
Okay.
The state of having multiple gods. Yeah, they believed in them. And even though, by the way, Gilgamesh, the protagonist of the epic, which I highly recommend you to read it as soon as you can, read it. Yeah, he is also seen as God, is seen as half God, because he's got a divine wisdom. His mother is goddess and his father is human. So he is half God. And to make people respect him and to see him as their absolute leader and to follow his instructions without any disobedience, he claims that he is chosen by God, by Enlil, the god of air, his representative, to be the ruler of Uruk, to be the ruler of Mesopotamia. So he is chosen by God just to justify his terrible deeds, all right, towards his people.
And?
Yeah, that's it.
Then I'm not that much interested in.
No, it is interested, and he finds a way to leave his legacy. He finds the secret of immortality, which is writing. He writes his tales and also the legacy of ancient Mesopotamia on clay tablets, which is the greatest heritage of humankind's history. If you
still not interesting,
if you get a chance, all right, it's not interesting for you. There's nothing I can do to make it interesting for you.
No, you shouldn't try. After.
No, because you asked me. It's not an initiative action. You asked me to talk about these things.
I asked you to understand like whether the book proves a god exists or not. And seemingly that book is not interesting at all to me.
All right.
The topic is God.
It's understandable.
And either God exists or not. And if the book is not able to prove or disprove any God, then to me it's not interesting.
How can you know that if you haven't read it?
You just explained.
No, I said that Gilgamesh, King Gilgamesh, the king of Uruk, the king of ancient Mesopotamia, proves the absence of gods when he breaks those sculptures that represent the existence of gods.
Okay, like sculptures are just representation of gods. Just because you're breaking some sculptures, that doesn't mean those gods don't exist. Maybe they don't care at all.
No, but according to Mesopotamians, they try to shape the existence of gods through using clay and stone.
Okay, let me simplify it. Let's assume that I sculpted an alien figure, like Martians that you know from Hollywood, and someone came and broke the sculpture that I made. That means there are no aliens?
It cannot be that simplified, because if you go to another part of the world and if you break a sculpture, that can lead to severe consequences, my dear friend. If you go to India or to Indonesia and if you break one of those sculptures in one of those ancient temples, that can lead to severe consequences, my dear friend.
You're changing the topic. No, that's not the question.
No, I'm not changing the topic. I'm discussing the same topic because because those sculptures do have intrinsic value, non-material value, non-material value. All right, like any temple, like the church. The church has also non-materialistic value. All right, people go to the church for spiritual reason, to worship God. And if somebody break or demolish that church, that can lead to a severe consequences.
No, so what? Like, that's not the topic again. Let's suppose I burned a church. That doesn't say Jesus was fake or real.
No, it says because you harm religious signs. All right, you harm them, and that can lead to severe consequences according to those people.
According to those people?
Yeah, according to those people.
And what does that mean?
According to the Christians, according to them, you harmed their religious practices.
Yes, that's true, but what does that mean?
That means that you disrespect their religious practices, because
that's
to them
also,
it's a religious practice.
Is there anything to do with the existence of God? What I did? Is there any connection?
Yeah, of course. Of course.
Okay,
Of course.
can you show me?
You need to digest what I'm saying, because that temple, all right, carry non-materialistic value, spiritual value.
For people,
when people go there, they feel a state of solace, a state of relief.
Yeah.
Because for them, it's the place of God. And when you go there and you cause harm, that can lead to a severe consequences to you or to any other person who wants to do so.
You're just repeating yourself and started being annoying a little bit. Do you remember my question?
Of course.
Okay, what was my question? I want to check it.
You said, if I broke those sculptures, what's going to happen? I told you.
No. That was not my question. And you were just repeating that answer. I mean, the question that you assume, and you're just repeating the answer of that question that you were assuming. That was not my question. My question is there any relation between the existence of God and the harm that I did to the temple or sculpture?
Of course. Of course.
I will listen to you again.
Because for them, the existence of God has to do with those temples, with those sculptures. When you break them, by way or another, you challenge their gods. And? You try to improve, you try to show them that your gods or your beliefs don't improve. But would they understand that you disrespected them? You disrespected their beliefs.
My question is not what is the consequences of my action of harming their temples. That's not the question. Like, I want to test it again. Do you remember the question?
Your action, mate, your action leads to a result. And here I'm explaining the result of your action.
I got it. It's so simple. Like, I understand that part. But do you remember my question?
I do remember your question.
Can you please remind me the question?
With pleasure. You said, if I broke that sculpture, is going to disprove the existence of God? Is that your question? I'm just rephrasing it, but it's the same.
And now, can I get an answer for that question? Because you never answered my question.
I believe I did.
I don't think you did.
I believe that I did. I did answer to your question.
I will put this conversation on YouTube. Maybe you can check it and listen.
All right.
And you can see that you didn't answer the question.
All right. All right. There's no problem. I'm going to retreat the answer. God is an idea. All right. That idea is represented through temples or sculptures. When you harm those sculptures or those temples, as if you harm the God.
As if. Okay.
As if. Yes. As if. As though you harm the God.
Okay.
According to the believers.
Because
the God is represented through those temples and through those sculptures and through those signs, those religious signs. And when you harm them, as though you harm the God, you disrespect the God.
So, like, why we're not getting a clear answer? Like, as though, I don't care what those people think about my action. My question is literally about God, whether God exists or not. If I harm anything, that people think valuable or holy.
For them, yes, for them. Yeah, please. You don't want to
my
understand.
Question is not for them. I'm not asking questions in behalf of other people. I'm not representing those people. I'm asking the question for my benefit.
No. I'm here. I'm talking generally. I'm not here approaching a specific religion. I'm talking here about religions in general because are all the same. Because when you do that action, as if you hurt, as if you hurt their gods. You disrespect their gods.
That's so simple, you're
all right?
people are getting offended by those actions. That's a very simple thing to understand. And that's not the question. Again, I care about whether God exists or not. If my actions are not deciding whether God exists or not, then period. I don't want to talk about what people feel about my actions.
For them, God does exist.
Okay.
And when you do that, you disrespected him.
That's simple. Yeah, I understand that. But that doesn't mean God doesn't exist.
To them, it exists.
To me also, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Even if I burn a church, that doesn't mean Jesus is not real.
All right.
So you can disrespect something that exists, right? It's possible.
Come again, please.
You can disrespect that something exists.
I didn't get it. Can you please repeat that?
Just because you're disrespectful to something, an idea or whatever, that doesn't mean it's real or fake.
When you disrespected it, it means that you don't believe it, and you are trying to show the opposite to them.
That doesn't mean exactly. Like people are intentionally trying to disrespect something that they exist.
Please listen. Please listen. It implies this meaning. Because if you believe that God does exist, you will deter him, and you will deter its consequences on humankind. You will deter him, fear him.
Fear him.
Yeah, deter him or fear him. Fear its punishment.
Okay.
That what does show that you believe in its existence, and this is common within all religions to a large extent.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Do you have any question?
But yeah, he didn't get it. What can I do?
No, I didn't get it. No, I didn't get it. I hope that you got it.
I don't have hope right now that you will get it.
No, I hope that you got it. Because for me, you don't.
You're gonna get it.
For me, right now, I don't care if you get it or not, because for me, you don't seem that you have the slightest idea about what you are talking about.
What I was talking about?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know, because
you're not listening. You're not giving any shit what I'm talking about. I had to repeat my simple question 3 times to make you understand what was my question, and you were not listening. But even in the end, you understood the question, you were still dodging the question. It's too simple, mate. Just because you disrespect something, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist, or it doesn't mean it exists. That's simple. And I don't care what people feel, whether they're offended or not. That doesn't say anything about the existence of God.
As I said, I believe half an hour ago that God does exist in their minds, all right, because God is an idea, and for them, they want to make the idea come into being, all right, through establishing religious sites.
Yeah.
And when you go there and do something that can cause harm or disapprove the existence of God, because that God for them is existed inside within those religious sites, that can lead to unfavorable results.
Yeah, that's true. We understand that part.
All right. Then it seems that you do have consciousness. You can digest things effectively.
Well, I said it many minutes ago, that part is clear, and you're just repeating an unnecessary part that I already said. Yeah, that's true.
It doesn't seem clear at all. Sorry. To you, I believe it doesn't seem clear at all.
I hope you watch it and you see that I accepted it way before. But you
right. Do you have any other question?
Nope.
All right. Have a good one.
I hope. Yeah, it is. It is. Why people make it so hard? Like when they speak, they don't try to understand also. How many times I had to ask the same question? and he got it right. He even changed it a little bit, but it was kind of right. And it was the third time. Yeah, that's the proof that reading doesn't always help. And I don't care about the Epic of Gilgamesh. Again, I care about whether God exists or not. If it's not helping the case, I don't care. I don't care what those people felt when someone destroyed those sculptures. It doesn't say anything. Here's a simple thing. Maybe those gods are real and people sculpted them. And just because someone broke all those statues, that doesn't say anything about the existence of those gods. Maybe they still exist, and maybe they don't give any shit about what the person did to some stones. So why should I care about that story? Anyway, let's end this record. Thanks for listening. Take care. Bye-bye.